what should you do when someone comes to your house? So the first thing is not to let them in, but what do you do when they bang into your door and say, open the door? You have to open the door. I mean, here's this man or woman in a uniform, armed, saying you have to open the door. What's the first thing that you say? Okay, you ask, the first thing is you don't open the door. You leave the door closed. The second thing is you ask for a warrant. Now this, and I don't want to get too technical legally, I want to keep it very free of sort of legal talk, but what kind of warrant do you want to see? What has to be in the warrant? Okay, so if it's a warrant for your arrest, it has to be, I'm sorry? Okay, it has to be your name or a reasonable description of you, signed by who? A judge. If it's a warrant to search, it has to have what? It has to have your address. So you're going to ask that officer to hold up the search warrant so you can see it through either people or to slip it under the door. You're going to look at it, it's going to be in English, and if you don't speak English, it's going to be harder, but things you can recognize, your name or an address. In that case, you're required to let them in. However, if it's a warrant of deportation or removal, if it's not signed by a judge, if it just says you have an order of deportation or removal and we need to remove you, that's the legal terminology now for deporting, for making you go back to your country. That is an administrative warrant. And this is a legal distinction that is tricky, but unless it's signed by a judge, under all the rules that a judge has to follow, probable cause, based on a probable cause statement by the law enforcement agency, you do not have to let that officer in. What are you going to do if they have a search warrant and it says, and you've read in the search warrant, it says to search the living room, or says exactly what the premises are? What do you do when they go into your kid's bedroom? You say, that's not part of the warrant. If you want to search that part of the house, you have to go back to the judge and get a warrant that says you can search that part of the house. Do you step in front of the door and block the officer? Okay, you do not do that. You will be arrested. You do not interfere. You just say very clearly what the problem is. You also ask for the officer for his name or her name and his badge number, or her badge number.